Okay guys, welcome back. This time we are going to create a responsive menu. The concept of responsive simply means that the menu will adjust or change according to the screen size, resolution, or the screen orientation. Let me just demonstrate a simple example for you. Notice as I increase the size of my window, the menu that I have here will change. So as I increase it, it opens up, and as I decrease it, it eventually creates a hidden menu with a drop-down effect. So this is what we are going to create in this tutorial. So how are we going to create this? We're going to create it using a combination of all the properties we have learned in this session. We're going to use the display property. We're going to use the float property. We are also going to use the hover selector, the hover effect, and all the other styling features that we have looked at thus far. But there's one very important feature that we're going to use, and this is called a media query. It's a basic rule, the add media rule, which is used to apply different styles to different devices, and that is based on, of course, the screen resolution, which is the width and the height of the viewport. And remember, in the earlier tutorial we mentioned that the viewport had to do with your screen. But the media query also allows you to change the look of your page based on the orientation of the device. So if the device is landscape, it might look different than if it is portrait. And that add media rule is very important when it comes to responsive design. Okay, so I'll begin by going into my styles and adding my add media query. Okay, so to do that, it's quite simple. I just state add media, okay, and only screen, which says okay, I want this thing to look at the screen and decide, and I'm going to declare the maximum width I need the screen to be in order for the effect to take place. I'm going to set it at 600 px. So what this means, let me just add my curly brackets. What this means is simply that any styling I put here in this media query will be applied to any screen that is below 600 px. Okay, so let's look at the preview window for the navbar we created. What I'm going to do, I'm going to apply a simple styling procedure that will get this to disappear when the screen reduces below 600 px. Now remember, this is our navbar, this is the class we assigned to it. So I'm going to style this thing in the media query so that it can disappear. So I'm going to add my class in my media query called navbar, and of course my curly braces, and I'm going to use the display property and give it a display of none. Let's see what happens. I will resize, and if I am right, then the navbar will disappear, as you can see, when we reach a certain width. So it appears here, but as soon as it goes below 600 px, it disappears. Now that I have hidden the original navbar, I am going to add a new navbar that will work when the screen is reduced below 600 px. I am going to first of all add this navbar after my original navbar in my index file. Before I add this navbar, let us just take a look at the elements we need to code for this new navbar. This is the navbar here. Notice we have our 3 bars that represent our hamburger menu or our drop down menu. We have a page title right here, home. Notice it's to the left. Okay. Notice that our drop down menu has the different pages that are available on the site. So creating this means that, one, we're going to use the grid feature. We're going to create a grid with 2 columns. We're going to size each grid differently, so they won't have the same sizes. The smaller grid to the left will be for our drop down button, our hamburger menu, and of course the links, and the larger grid will contain the page title and span the rest of the page. So I need to share a simple word of advice when you code in something like this. We're going to use a lot of classes, so you need to use classes that you can connect easily to the different elements that you're going to style. Okay? We are going to start creating this new navbar by adding our HTML5 for the different divs, grids, and elements in the navbar. So I'm just going to paste the code here and make some space so we can see exactly what it says. So this is our code, our HTML5 right here. So let us just go through it to get a sense of what it means. I have a parent div in which all the other divs and elements are enclosed. And this is this div right here. Starts up here, it ends here. I have given this div a class of mGrid. For me, it means menu grid. It suggests to me I'm going to be using the grid, a grid system, to keep my menu. Okay? So that's why I mentioned earlier about naming your classes so you know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. This helps with styling. Within this grid, I have 2 main divs. The first one is a drop down div, a div which I have given the class of drop down, which will contain a button that the user will hover over in order to see the rest of the links. These links are kept in another div which I have given the class of drop down content. And within that div we have, of course, the anchor tags for our about page and our contact page. So this is the first column of our grid. The second column of our grid will contain the title of the page that we are on. So I call it a title, meaning active title. Again, I created this class to give me a sense of how I am going to style this. And that is very important.